Daniel Marins, I know it's a somewhat complicated issue, but what's your take on this? Is it a good idea? Would some of the niche programming might be hurt by this? What's your take?
Well, David, my thinking is that at the end, first of all, there's no question that creating a system where more options are available, so whether a la carte becomes dominant or the incentives are structured that way, regardless of that, certainly having that option, having that available for consumers, I think is important. But I'm a little bit more, and overall, I think that creating a system where established cable companies, established TV channels have a little bit less economic security, and so that there's freer entry for new innovators, new people entering the market is good for the country and good for consumers. But here's what I'd say. I don't think that cable a la carte is the silver bullet that some advocates might say it is. That's because I read an analysis by James Sarvitsky, who's the financial and economics columnist for the New Yorker magazine a couple of years ago, and his argument for bundling is essentially this. It probably wouldn't even help consumers, at least in the short term, because channels that do stick around and remain popular would be liable to jack up their individual channel prices. And so that would sort of offset the cost of losing those subscription fees. And I would just add that I think the broader issue here in terms of consumers is that the cable companies overall and the internet service providers and just about every aspect of our communications industry, competition is extremely limited. In many cases, you only have the one or at most two options for a cable provider in a certain area, or one or two options for a broadband and internet provider. And that I think is what keeps those prices so high and the quality in many cases so low. And I would also add, David, that there's another variable here, which is that younger folks are turning into shows like us that appear on YouTube. And what the internet is doing to TV, we have yet to really wrap our heads around, but I think that's really going to be what shakes up the television market. Once we can get it to the point where watching things on Netflix or YouTube or Apple TV or any number of the different systems that they're now creating to use the internet to have a television-like experience, once we can get it so that it's the same convenience with a remote, and it's kind of just this running sort of stream of things, then I think that the sort of conventional traditional television system is in big trouble.
Absolutely right. A couple other things that McCain's legislation would do. It would provide a major boost to a controversial startup company known as Aereo. It's a streaming service that digitizes over the airwave signals and puts them on the internet. And right now, of course, if you produce content for TV, you don't want people to be able to get that for free online. Well, McCain's legislation would make it easier for people to get it online. Which could be a blow in terms of competition for folks who want you to have to pay for whatever channel you like on cable. For example, if you, instead of having to pay for Comedy Central, you would just want to watch the clips of Jon Stewart online, this would make it easier. The other thing that's fascinating about McCain's legislation is that he would prevent sports broadcast blackouts. In other words, you can't watch the Phoenix Suns basketball team because there's a blackout in Phoenix because they're trying to attract people to the stadium, to the arena. McCain's legislation would change that so that local broadcasters cannot blackout coverage if the game itself is being held in a publicly financed stadium. If your tax dollars have gone to build a stadium or sports arena, broadcasters would be prevented from blacking out coverage of an event in that arena. Fascinating stuff. Go to popvox.com if you want to look at the legislation, and this is a fascinating one. Again, it's the Cable Consumer Freedom Act proposed by John McCain. And again, folks, it's a fascinating idea. It will shake up the cable industry. If you're interested at all in media and why you're paying so much that you are for your cable bill, and why don't you have more channels or fewer channels, this is the legislation to get involved and contact your member of Congress. I guarantee they are probably as befuddled and confused by this issue as many of us are. Coming up, we're going to talk with our own Cliff Shuster, React Radio's Cliff Shuster, about some of the latest developments on the issue of background checks and some fascinating developments that came out this week from a couple Republican senators who opposed the background check bill just a few weeks ago. You're listening and you're watching the Take Action News on React Radio.